Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about finding the area of a circle. When we're talking about the area, we're talking about the space inside of the circle, okay? Like when we were talking about the circumference, that was this length around the circle, the outside. The area is that space inside the circle. So we have inside here. And when we're writing the area, we are writing it in units squared, okay? So if we're working with miles, we would write miles squared, inches squared if we're working in inches, and so forth. The formula for finding the area is area equals pi times r for radius squared. Sometimes we will write it, the question will ask you to write it in terms of pi, like this, just using the symbol. And sometimes you'll be asked to use 3.14 times radius squared. And in that case, once you plug in the radius, you will multiply these two numbers together. Okay? So we're going to do some practice problems solving both ways below. Alright, for practice problem number 1. A circle has a radius of 3.2 meters. Part A is asking us to find the exact area in terms of pi. That means that we are keeping our pi symbol when we solve. So we have area equals pi times radius r squared. Okay, so we're going to plug in our 3.2 for our radius. We have pi times 3.2 squared. When we square 3.2, we're multiplying 3.2 by itself to get us pi times 10.24. And that is our answer. That's all we're writing. You can combine those since we're multiplying, and we know that multiplying, when we have two things next to each other like this, that means that we're multiplying, so you can write it one of two ways, okay? Then we also need to put our label. We are working in meters, and we said we are squaring when we're working with the area, okay? So this would be an acceptable answer. This would also be an acceptable answer if you want to combine those, okay? So now we're going to look below, finding the area using 3.14 for pi. Alright, so we still have our 3.2 meters for our radius, but we're using 3.14 for pi. So we have our area equals, we're plugging in 3.14 for pi times our 3.2 squared. We know from part A up here that 3.2 squared is 10.24. So now we can simplify this to 3.14 times 10.24. So now you can get your calculator out, multiply 3.14 times 10.24, and that gives you 32.1536. We're working with meters, so meters squared. Okay? So here's our answer if we're solving with 3.14 as pi. All right. So now we're going to move down to example number 2. Example number 2 is telling us that the distance from the epicenter of an earthquake to the outer edge is 134 miles. So we're going to draw a picture over here. We have the center, and we're going to the edge. That is called our radius as well, right? So we can label this r for radius, and we can also say that our length from the center to the edge is 134 miles, okay? To the nearest square mile, what was the area? And we are using 3.14 for pi in this problem. All right, so we're going to write our formula. Whoops, we have area equals pi times radius squared. We are using 3.14 for pi. So we have 3.14 times 134 squared. When we square 134, so we're doing 134 times 134, we should get, let's put that in our calculator, and we will get 17,956. Now we're going to multiply 3.14 times 17,956. When we multiply those two, we get 56,382 miles squared. Okay? We are writing this as a whole number because it asks us to go to the nearest square mile. That's why we are rounding this up to a 2. All right? So this is our, and it's actually miles. So that is our final answer for number 2. Okay? We're going to move on to number 3. The diameter of the eye of a hurricane was 30 miles. To the nearest square mile, what was the area of the eye? And we're using 3.14 for pi. Okay? So now we've got area equals pi radius squared. We know that our diameter equals 30. Our D diameter equals 30. To find our radius, we need to divide that by 2 because our radius is half our diameter. So we have radius equals 30 divided by 2, which gives us 15. Okay? I'm going to plug in 15 there. All right. So now going back over here to the left with our area, we know that we're using 3.14, so we can plug that in, times 15 squared. All right? When we square 15 times 15, we get 122. So we have area equals 3.14 times 225, And now we're going to multiply those two together, combining like terms, to find our final area, which will give us, when we put that in our calculator, we will get 706.5, and we want it to the nearest square mile. So we're going to look at our 5 here, and our 5 is telling us to round our 7 up. So we have our area of 707 miles squared. Okay, so that is our answer. We're going to circle that for number 3. Okay, now we're going to move down to our last question, number 4. Let's move this a little bit. Move up. Okay, number 4. It says here, how many smaller circles do you need to equal the area of the larger circle? So our smaller circle here has a diameter of 12 inches, and our larger circle, and our smaller circle has an area or diameter of 4 inches. So if our diameter of the larger circle is 12 inches, our radius must be 6 inches because we are dividing by 2. Okay, so we're going to put our radius equals 6. So we know that when we go to find the area. For our smaller circle, our diameter is 4. So if we divide that by 2, our radius, r, is going to be equal to 2. All right, so we found that. Now we can go and solve both areas. Okay, so we're going to use blue for the area here of the larger circle. So we know area equals pi times radius squared. Area equals 3.14 times 6 squared. We're going to continue to solve. We do 6 squared. 6 times 6 gives us 36. When we multiply 3.14 times 36, we get 113.04. Okay, so that is our area, inches squared for our larger circle. Now we're going to do our area of the smaller circle, and we're going to do that one in green. All right, so we have area equals pi r squared, radius squared. Area equals 3.14, because we're going to use that for pi, so we want exact numbers here, times 2 squared. Okay, 2 squared gives us 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, 3.14 times 4 gives us 12.56 inches squared. Okay, those are our two areas, smaller circle and larger circle. Now, in order to find how many smaller circles can fit in that large circle, we need to divide these two areas. Okay, we want to see how many smaller ones it'll take to fill up this whole big one. All right, so we're going to do up here, I got 113.04 divided by 12.56. When we plug that in our in our calculator, we get 9. So that means that 9 small circles can fit in one large circle. Okay? So our answer there for the last question is 9. All right? And that's all for the notes today.